Welcome to the XR Magazine. My name is Diana Olenik, your host, and today we're going to be speaking with Lyle Maxson, who is one of the co-founders of Andromeda Entertainment. Today we're going to be speaking with Lyle about how they manage as a VR publisher to bring to market games for good, with also the breakout hits like Audio Trip and Sound Self that were brought to the masses through the rising of the VR industry. Lyle is the co-founder of Genius X, a VR education platform focused on the next evolution of education, as well as Entheo Digital, a digital therapeutics company pursuing FDA clearance and the creation of a wellness technology marketplace within the intersection of mental health and experiential medicine. Lyle believes that we can create a metaverse that upgrades the real-world avatar that is you, and by addressing the world's mental health crisis and democratizing high-quality education, we can better humanity's relationship with technology along the way. I can't wait to hear more about not only Lyle, but also who is Genius X, and also what's the role that Retreat VR plays in all of this. I can't wait to begin. Let's do it. Thank you so much, Lyle, for being here today. Please let us know, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Yeah, I just flew in to visit some business partners late last night, so got a little bit of a late start this morning, but I'm feeling refreshed and doing awesome.
Thank you so much, Lyle. So you are one of the brains and minds behind Genius X. We'd like to know a little bit about you, your background, and of course, how Genius X got started.
Yeah, I've been in the VR industry for probably about 7 years. Definitely a roundabout way of getting involved in it. I was very into biohacking and what kind of started to emerge as neurohacking when I was much younger, and started to look into technologies that would help enable certain states of consciousness to be shifted, whether it was around anxiety or depression, a lot of mental health focused things, which led me to really get involved in VR, because I saw a lot of the technologies that were available for people either weren't very engaging, and I kind of call it like eat your vegetables type of experiences where you know they're good for you, but they're not necessarily enjoyable. Or they were like really, really expensive devices that were like $100,000, pulse electromagnetic beds that are incredible, but no one has access to them. You'd have to go to like a very specialized clinic or something to use one. And then when I started to realize the potential of VR, specifically for what I call benevolent technology or using technology for good, it just opened up a whole new door for me. And not only understanding how accessible the software was and how the big companies are involved in making the hardware more accessible, but also just the sheer enjoyment and fun that it creates, which I think is really going to be the catalyst to kind of Trojan horse transformative experiences into people's lives. So end of 2018, myself and two other co-founders decided to start Andromeda Entertainment, which is a games for good publisher in the VR space. So we had a development studio in-house where we were building content, but we were also funding and publishing other titles. Our really big breakout hit is called Audio Trip, which is like a full body ecstatic dance game. The focus of being a publisher was essentially like providing the business behind the developers. So we saw the developers as really artists. We were following a model that Devolver, Mike Wilson is an incredible kind of legend in the indie game space. And he became our main advisor and kind of showed us how to create favorable publishing deals with developers to really like leverage their art and provide them with all the necessities to scale their business, whether it's marketing, community management, publishing on different platforms, localizing their content into different languages, all of those things. So that gave me a really like wide lens on the industry and what I call like alien developers, or these like conscious developers were creating, and understanding like where the holes in the market are, what ways to create more engagement. And that kind of all led me to creating Genius X. So I think I would say my origin story around the company is very different than my other two co-founders. We all have like very unique ways of how we converge. But for me personally, it definitely was because of the pandemic. We actually with Andromeda, we were planning on doing a big like week-long exhibit at South by Southwest, which was like I think the very first conference that shut down during the pandemic. It was right in the middle of March. And so we essentially were looking at how do we produce the event in VR? So we were seeing, we had a ton of speakers and musicians and developers that we booked for the live event. And I started looking at event platforms. Wasn't really inspired by a lot of them. And also noticed, because my background prior to getting into virtual reality was in music festivals. So I really like understood why events were going to come back online. But I saw that, not the event platforms weren't very compelling in VR, but I knew that live events were going to come back and they were going to come back strong after the pandemic ended. But education, on the other hand, was already on the steep downhill fall, and the pandemic just exacerbated that. So that's when I actually got together with a woman named Kelly Lavelle, who was doing a youth ambassador event around the United Nations General Assembly for the 75th anniversary. So we partnered with the United Nations and decided to throw this big event, basically to correspond with the General Assembly that can no longer happen live in New York. And that just, again, kind of exposed me to the education side, and like how to curate and moderate panels and bring in world-renowned speakers and ambassadors. I think there was over 100 countries represented. And then, so that's the education side, but then the event platform side. And then at the same time, my girlfriend is also a big e-learning, coach. So she went from being like doing a lot of one-on-one coaching to launching a big e-learning platform. And I just saw it take off, and e-learning just exploded. And I just saw that there was a really big gap in the market for what we call v-learning, and really like leaning into what immersive education could be. So now we're 2 years in, and we just launched the platform on the official MetaQuest store on December 1st. So only a couple weeks ago.
Wow, congratulations. That sounds super exciting. And thank you so much, particularly for sharing these particular details about the journey and how, like, where this came all from. Because what we believe here in the podcast is that one thing is seeing the product there in the store, and another thing is also seeing the behind the scenes, the background, the people behind that. I think that is very important, like humanizing the product. So what type of things can people do in Genius X, and seeing from the design of the actual experience, what was it created for, particularly, that people can do there?
Yeah, so the platform's called Retreat. The parent company is called Genius X, but the app itself is called Retreat. It's very much focused on soft skills, which is what I actually call hard skills, because I think that things like STEM could be taught and learned through a textbook, where soft skills are really experiential learning, which lends itself very well to VR. So we have courses on personal development and professional development. I think we launched with around 6 courses, but we have like 15 additional in development. And I would essentially say that it's kind of like masterclass meets alt space meets like supernatural. So it's a kind of a combination of the three. It is a social learning experience. So it is a full, like, quote unquote metaverse platform, where 60 plus people could be in a room at a time. And essentially you could buy different courses depending on what you're interested in. So we do have experts in their fields. A variety of them are very large influencers or New York Times bestsellers. And we essentially got with them and decided to build out their virtual world. So meaning like anything from the environment to the music to the content itself. And then, of course, like the interactivity and how they're going to engage users, whether it's playing with 3D models or teleporting into different environments and scenes, or kind of your choose your own adventure style learning, where you could pick things that are interesting to you or customize or to your specific learning outcomes, and then pursuing that. So it's very much like a hero's journey inside the educational space, which we haven't really seen up until this point. I think a lot of education programs in VR are very enterprise focused, and they're very focused on specific training, like whether it's operating a forklift or, like COVID protocols for nurses. This is very much like the things that we thought should be taught in school that aren't. So that's anything from like public speaking to landing your right fit job to breath work or yoga, qigong, all these things that are, balancing either your mental health or just making you an overall more well-rounded human is really our focus.
Amazing. So it seems in your experience that you will be entering the space, or very beautiful spaces, by the way, and then you will have someone like a guide there to help you. How did you create this type of experience? Was it like a 360 technology that you use, or holographic technology? Or what did you use to create this?
Yeah, so we actually started by looking at a lot of the 360 like volumetric capture. Unfortunately, that technology is still not really there for mobile VR. It's not only very expensive and very time consuming. It takes a very long time to render it, but it also just takes up too much processing power. So, we did decide to go with green screen filming. And essentially the way that we're like navigating it, not looking, very 2D in a 3D environment, is that the green screen, instructor actually kind of like follows you around. It tracks you. So everything in the world, including the models and the interactivity, is all 3D, but the courses are shot on green screen. But we do have like a more hybrid model, being that you do come in as an avatar. The instructors themselves also come in as avatars. So it's kind of a hybrid between evergreen content that is, more of this like interactive classroom environment, where you go through the course at your own speed. But then there's also the ability for the instructors to come in live as their avatars and do more like one-on-one live coaching, or, one-on-many, where they're doing a talk or a panel discussion or a live Q&A, breakout groups and workshops and things. So essentially, we're just building the community around, if you're interested in something like public speaking, you could download the course and participate in it by yourself or with friends. But then, the instructor will be coming in on a regular basis to, do more personalized, coaching. So with the evergreen content, it still feels like you're being, coached or tutored one-on-one, which I think is very powerful, just a sense of presence and, the interactivity portions of the content. But then of course, when they could come in as live avatars, it's just something that I feel like hasn't really been explored. Right now in VR, it's really around like live musicians or NFT art. But for us, it's like really leaning into the education portion and getting these influencers that are masters in their field to come in and do a lot more in the metaverse.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So what were the main technical challenges that you went through when you were creating the experience, like during the workflow or the creation process?
Oh God, how long do we have? There's a large list. Yeah, I mean, we built everything from scratch. So meaning like where we're not reliant on, different SDKs and things. Everything is built from the ground up. So that way it's very easy to port. We are on the MetaQuest platform, but we plan to be on Apple's new headset. We plan to be on, Pico and a variety of others. So, there was a lot of technical challenges because of our plan to be, platform agnostic. I would say that was like kind of the main, I would say that was kind of the main crux of a lot of the challenges that we went through, was understanding that, it's built in, OpenXR as well, or utilizing OpenXR. So, just like making it as easy to scale and kind of meet people where they're at, understanding what's happening with Apple and even the Quest Pro and their pass through mixed reality capabilities. We've also leaned into that. So like all of our 3D models and the instructors content is all like ready to go for AR as well. So instead of being in a virtual world with friends, then you could just put an instructor right in the middle of your living room. Of course, we haven't launched that yet, but we're building towards that, and kind of have had the end in mind since the beginning. So that has created its own technical challenges, but we think that we're very different than a game. We are focused on being a platform. So everything that we're doing is very much like a long-term approach. Even like we have a built-in credit system, which is kind of we're using Meta's. Right now we're using their essentially their in-app purchasing, their IAP, which makes it like a frictionless process. So that was very challenging. If you go into most apps and you were to do like a membership model or log in, I would like Supernatural or Trip or some of these bigger apps. It's a big process. You have to log in and create an email, then you have to take the headset off, and then you have to go into your email and verify it, and then come back in. So we've been really focused on creating that kind of frictionless user experience where everyone has their account hooked up to a credit card when you create your account inside of any VR headset. So this just enables it to where you could download the app for free. We do have a lot of free content in the app as well. And then you could just like purchase individual things. That also adds like a layer of gamification that we're really excited about because with a built-in like ecosystem with credits, you could essentially earn and unlock credits. So it's kind of like a learn to earn or play to earn type of experience where you're rewarded for completing courses or logging into the app multiple times. Or doing a variety of different skills or unlocking skills or doing a variety of missions and tasks, will actually feed into your account so you could buy more content as well. So it's kind of like the broader picture of instead of just being like a membership model or a one-off purchase, we see it as being a whole like ecosystem and platform that, of course it will be a slower building process, but we know in the long term, it'll be, much more exciting for everyone.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. What type of particular learnings are there? You mentioned public speaking. What are the other ones? Like, what are all the other soft skills that you incorporated there?
Yeah, so currently we do have Qigong, we have yoga, we have manifesting your dream life, which is really like kind of inner child healing and kind of like a trauma therapy type of course, but it's all like around being able to unlock your full potential. We do have landing your right fit job. So it's basically like interviewing for a job. And we have a ton of courses coming up though, which is like daily rituals and nutrition courses or discovering your purpose in life by Evan Carmichael, who's an incredible big YouTuber that focuses on that skill. Public speaking is definitely a big one. I think it lends itself very well to VR because you could actually practice public speaking in front of other avatars in the space, which if anyone has done that in VR, it's actually like pretty nerve-wracking and it's a great experiential training. I mean, the things that are coming, we have a variety of breathwork experiences. We have a very large list. There's a lot around financial literacy and like being able to like really understand, how to save money, how to earn money. Just like, again, it's kind of like all these variety of skills. You could go onto our website too, retreatvr.io. And you could see, a lot of those courses and what's out now and what's in development. We're super excited. I mean, we're essentially onboarding new instructors and coaches at least a couple a month, and starting to build out their courses. So we have a lot of exciting stuff coming.
That's amazing. That sounds super, super exciting. And I wonder, what is your vision? What is what you are trying to get like in the future or what is your expectation? Or where do you want to see Retreat?
Yeah, I mean, I could answer that question in a variety of ways. I mean, I guess it just depends on like the timeline, right? Like that's definitely one of my skill sets is envisioning the future. And I think sometimes, or for a lot of people, like our greatest strength is our greatest weakness. So I get like a little too in the clouds, and envisioning what the 6 year or 10 year plan looks like. I would say more immediately, it's if you look at like a lot of the kind of social apps right now in VR, outside of like shooter type of video games, they're really just like focused on events. And I would say that a lot of the environments inside of these spaces aren't very inspiring. Meaning like you kind of feel like you're trapped in a box, or they're like recreating environments that already exist in the real world. We kind of looked at that and said like, why would we do that? Like, let's build architecture and environments and like binaural beats, which increase different brainwave states to and train your brain to learn faster, or retain information better. And essentially just like leaning into the things that we're not able to really create in the real world, as opposed to just like creating a copy of that. So, I think that having a space for people to go and hang out where they actually feel inspired and they feel better taking the headset off than when they put it on, which is kind of a novel concept. Um, and really leaning into like what experiential education looks like. So I think short term it's around just like inspiring people to what I call like upgrading the real world avatar that is you. So instead of focusing on like these fictional stats of a fictional character, leveling up all these different things, I kind of joke that typically when we're like upgrading our avatar in a video game, our real life avatar is actually depleting in those same skills. So you're like making money in a video game, but you're actually like not working. So you're losing money in real life, or like you're getting strong in a video game, but you're like hunched over your computer. So you're getting weaker in real life. So, the whole premise of this is to show what's possible when you're actually upgrading your real life human. And then you could take those skills and apply them directly, when you take the headset off.
Wow, super exciting. And I have to say, particularly excited because I am creating an experience that is actually related with using binaural sounds, with using meditation in different ways, and kind of like digital therapy at the end of the day as well. And when you mention that, it's like, wow, this is amazing. That exactly the alignment and vision that I've been having. Of course, there are many more creators in the world that are onto the same thing. So I'm excited to put my hands absolutely in all your stuff, make a couple of videos and share them online so people can get to learn more about you and about Retreat. Go and visit Retreat. And this leads me into my next question, which is that, do you have any plan to allow creators to co-create with you, or that is not in your pipeline?
Yeah, so we're a very like interesting concept for a VR company, because we are partially a platform and consumer focused, but then we also have an entire like custom development studio. So we're not focused on creator tools and app. We've really leaned away from that, meaning like a lot of popular VR apps have like the ability to go in and kind of like create your own games, or create your own environments. That always feels like really clunky to me. And even being someone like myself that spent a lot of time in a headset, it's still not very intuitive. So what we've done is essentially allowed, kind of similar to the thesis around my publishing company, Andromeda. It's like letting the creator, lean into their zone of genius and letting us do all of the back end work. So we do work with creators all the time, but it is like on this custom development level. So essentially, we're working with them on what their course looks like. We're helping spatialize it and turn it into more of a game, from like the script and the way that they're structuring the modules and the course itself. And then we go into filming. Then we do a few weeks. It's become more, but ideally the entire process for us takes 8 weeks, which is what we're focused on, like from concept of the course with the creator to actually producing it. But yeah, so that means that we're doing all of the custom build out with them. They kind of go into the course ahead of time and approve or tell us the things that they like or don't like about the interactivity, or the kind of the story that's guiding the user. And we kind of go through a review process with them, and then we publish it. So we're kind of like all-in-one shop for creators that don't know how to develop in VR. So we're definitely not the platform for developers. We're more of the platform for, masters in their field, whether they're authors or screenwriters or social media influencers or e-learning course providers. And we're just like really focused on, how to make their content more engaging and bring them into the technology of the future. So, we definitely have operated like that. And it kind of depends on who we're working with. Sometimes they are paying us to build everything out. And we essentially do a rev share with them on the back end for what their course creates. Or if they're like a really big kind of A-lister, we build out their course content for free. So that's kind of I know that this is probably a more specialized group. So I figured I'd as your listeners, so I figured I'd kind of share a little bit about the business model as well.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. It's been fascinating to hear about all the stuff that you guys have been able to create with Genius X and Retreat. I'm inviting anybody to go and take a look and try it, experiment with that. And of course, follow all the news and new exciting things that are coming with Retreat. Thank you so much, Lyle, for being here today. Is there anything else that you wish I had asked you today?
No, I will just say though that we have a lot of updates coming. So, we did launch the app only a couple weeks ago, but right now we're introducing Meta's avatar system into the platform, which will be pretty cool, being that most people have already designed their avatar. You could just go in, with your pre-built, human or virtual human. We also have, live streaming that we're about to launch, meaning that all of the, educators, instead of them coming in as avatars, they could actually live stream their full body hologram into VR for a much more immersive and personalized experience. We have a variety of new courses coming, a ton of like cool mini games and things for people to just like hang out and connect with other students. So all of that's coming in like the next month or so, which we're very, very excited about. So I'd say when you download the app, know that it is very much a work in progress, but that's the beauty of social apps, is that we're really going to be building it with and for the community and open to all feedback and things that they like to see in the platform. And that will kind of be our guiding light as we continue to build it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds super exciting. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to hear from you on Retreat. And we wish all the best to all your team, and we'll be following up on your updates. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.